Okay, now I'm talking about a track you might have heard already. It's that one. This is the remix I did on Delerium Silence. It's quite a while ago, but I still got many requests or questions from people asking me how I did the sounds, especially the chords and the chord structure. And yeah, I'm gonna show this. First of all, it's the drum section, which is like that. And I have a bass line. It's quite easy, it's an off bass. With a bass sound which goes reverse from time to time. I often work with a very, very simple sub bass. You can hear it, it's boring, but it just fits to the bass drum. This time it's a Minimoog sound. I often use the ES1 for my sub bass sounds as well. It's quite simple, only one oscillator, but this time it's like that. And the reverse bass is from the Fab Filter Twin. It's coming in from time to time. And the rest of the percussion and drums. Actually, it's three sounds playing here. It's one, a second, and another one. And the first one is the Minimoog, which I really love. This thing is great. I can turn it up. When I have it dry, when I switch off all the plugins, it's like this. It has very much low end, so I just filter it out, putting on the Sonalexis SV517. Very good equalizer, very smooth sounding, and doesn't eat up your CPU, so I use it very often, and it's just easy to work with. You can see what you do, and it's quite nice sounding. So I put on this, some delay, which is the Logic stereo delay. And I have an additional low cut, which I use in combination with the automation. So you can see the curve here. Low cut frequency. This one is it's going up. For example, this part here, just to filter it up a little bit, and then of course I have automation on the cutoff. It starts very low, it goes up, and for example, when you go to the breakdown section, it really filters up to add some drama to the whole section. Goes back. So you can have, at the end you have this effect. It goes back to the drums. All the filters going up, opening up, and then going down suddenly at once. So this is very good for the clubs, for the dramatic effect. So the second part of the chords is this one. It's a simple one. Okay, I forgot to show you. The first one, when I open up the MIDI file, is kind of a one tone in the low end, and on the top end is some chords playing. but this one is quite simple. It's just a supporting sound, but it adds some kind of yeah, atmosphere to it. When I leave it out, it's kind of it gives, for me, it's kind of a melancholic feeling, and which fits to the vocal. Okay, and this sound is once again the Minimoog. You can open up. So it's programmed in a similar way with some delay and some filtering on the low end. And the third one is here. It's more for the higher end, and when you put it together, and it gives more room and space, because I have the Pro 53 here from Native Instruments, and there's lots of delay. You can hear it, and this gives it just some spacious atmosphere. And when you put them all together, and I put the compressor on all three of them, then you have the typical popping sound together with the bass. So it sounds as one unit. That's what I aimed for. And for the chords, I very often put those things when I want to glue them together a little bit to sound as one. I put them on a bus. You can see when this one, they run all through a bus here. And I have the compressor on here for all three of them. You can see each one goes into the bus. So it just gives me some more control over the sound, and I have some filtering here, the TPK from Sonorics again. It's a low cut and a high cut. I use it for the breakdown sections and for some, you can see it here. That's the riff bus. I have an automation going on one of the filters. I can show you for the breakdown section. Yeah, that's pretty much it about the chords. And I do a lot of filtering and automation with them. So when you listen to the breakdown section, I just let it play. It starts very low. It goes up and goes up, goes up. And there's another sound edit. Is this one here. It's very loud and dirty and adds lots of energy to the whole thing. And quite funny, it's very simple. It's the ESP from Logic itself. It's simple, but the sound is amazing, and you can just put all your waveforms together you like, and add some overdrive here. And this is the frequency. You can see it. This time it's just an automation of the decay. You can see it here. And it's lots of overdrive in there from the plugin itself, but it works well. And together with the chords, I put goes up. There's some space designer going on, adding more white. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I have here in the second part, or the second breakdown again. You can see I work a lot with the reverb output here. It's the space designer. You can do very good automation on that, and it sounds just cool for this kind of effects. I always do the same steps on my vocals. I just try to level them out a little bit, so I normalize them. And then, I mean, the vocal itself was good. I had to change the tempo a little bit, yeah, but you can see it. It's normalized now when you listen. It's very dry. Help this longing. And when you listen to it in the track, oh. So I try to make it sound very spacey and soft. And for my vocals, I often use it's here, the vocal section. You can see I have a couple of tracks. So it's the lead vocal. I have some stuttering effects. You can hear this here. So this is just a vocal bit. And I have a second lead for the doubling. And I have some harmonies here. Also, I have separate tracks for the delays. This is a short delay and this is a long delay. But the vocal itself, I treated it with a couple of plugins I can show you. So I just switch them all off. And I don't put it through the bus. When I have vocals like these, which are not only one track, I often put them through a dedicated vocal bus here. You can see it with some EQing and some delay. I show you how it sounds later. But the vocal itself, I use here. I use the Waves Renaissance compressor just to get them, yeah, to tame them a little bit. You can see the threshold is very high and there's not much compression going on. It's just to tweak it a little bit. And afterwards, and this is the more sound affecting tool, is the LA2A from Universal Audio, which is awesome for vocals. And you can drive it really hot. You see it's going down until -7 here. And when I put it so. It's out, switch it on. It adds some kind of warmth to the whole vocal. This is what I like on the Teletronics, on this thing here. And the Waves compressor also just makes the vocal sounding a bit warmer. I mean, it's very subtle, but you can feel it. And afterwards, I put on some EQing, of course. I cut the low frequencies because for female vocal you don't need them. And I have a low cut as well. It's very low, 34 hertz, but just to cut out if there is any energy I don't want to be in it, or if I didn't cut out, for example, the breathing. When you hear it, maybe you can hear there's some noise in the background, and with those filters switched on, you can hear it in the mix. And I have a space designer just to add some nice reverb, and I send it through my hall or a reverb bus and a room bus. I work with that very often. I have always 2 buses for the ambience. It's for the reverb and room, very short room. It's done by the Universal Audio Reverb. It's a very short room. You can see it here. The time is very low. And the space designer just has it's one of the presets just to add some more space to the whole mix, and wherever I need it, in every channel you can see it here on the right, I put them on, and always just a little bit. Just this helps also gluing together the whole mix. So when I switch on all the plugins on the vocal with the reverb, oh, that was too much. Okay, so it's like that, and when I put them through the vocal bus, where we have the delay and the additional EQ, it sounds like. Give me really And then we have the second voice and together. One. Very smooth. And then the harmonies together. Okay, nice one. And together with the track. So actually I had to do, okay, that one has to say this. And no, actually for the vocals I didn't work too much on the file itself because the vocals were great already and very inspiring. I just put on my usual stuff and the treatment like compression and EQing, and just to make them fit to the rest of the mix. Another thing people very often ask me is how I do my mastering, and I can show you my setup, which is more or less always the same or nearly the same. It's here in the main out section, and I have 5 plugins. I just open them up all. I can show you what I do. So first of all, I go. I run everything through the multiband compression from Waves, the linear phase multiband. It's very neutral sounding for me, and I don't put too much compression on it. When I just play it here, so I switch off all the rest for the beginning, and you can see here the curve is quite steady. There's not too much compression. You can, when I put this one on 0, it just helps taming the whole sound and the tracks. And what I don't do is I don't put any compression on the low end. You can see it here. It's bypassed. I just leave that out. Okay, and then I turn down the level a little bit for the next plug-in. It was 6.5. So the next is just a little EQing. It's a very small cut at around 9 kilohertz, just to smooth down a little bit the high frequencies. You can really hear it, you rather feel it. So when we have those two, it's especially for the drum section, for the hi-hats and all the high percussion. It makes, especially in the clubs, when you hear this kind of music at very high volumes, I like to have this turned down a little bit. It's only a small thing here, but for me it helps a lot. Okay, next one is some musical compression. I mean, this one, the multiband was more technical compression, and now it comes to the musical compression. It's a single band compressor. It's the SSL from Waves. One of my favorite tools. It sounds absolutely great and is perfect for this kind of music. And it makes the track a bit more pumping, but not too much. I mean, I like that, and some people tell me, oh, your tracks are pumping a lot, but it's what I like, and I think in the club it works. It works well, so I put that on all the time. And the difference is really you get some more drive into the whole thing, and especially the drum section is glued together. When I put it out, you can hear it pumping a little bit, but it's a musical pumping, so it's good. I have some attack, it's the highest level, and the release is the shortest level. So and the compression is around 5 to 6 dB. Okay, and then I put on this one here. It's the Pultec from Universal Audio as well, and I used this one here at 16 kilohertz. quite high, and I boosted around 5 to 6 just to add some sparkling highs, and it's really a sweetening EQ. It's no technical EQ. You can hear it. Again, you rather feel it than you hear it, and then it freshens up the whole mix. So, and at the end, I have, of course, a limiter to take it back to volume I want to have. And I use the Waves L3, very good. It's kind of neutral regarding the sound, but you can do lots of limiting and compression here to get much energy out of the mix as much as you can. And I have it running always between 3 and 9 dB of attenuation. And yeah, that's pretty much my mastering section. Sometimes I use one or more 2 compressors in the mastering channel, like the Vintage Warmer or another Waves compressor if I want to have more pressure in it, or the Universal Audio compressors. But actually this is my basic setup, and for this track, which was more vocal driven, I found it was fitting quite well. Yeah, that's what I did with Silence.